Good morning and welcome to H3 TV, where we come to you every week with encouragement. How the heck do we stay hopeful, healthy, and happy when life is hard? Life can be full of disruptions. And this week I was thinking about, I often say, will you be bitter or will you be better? But this week, by mistake, one of my books came out and on the side it said, choose to be sour. No, no, no. I'm teaching the opposite. Don't be sour, soar above your circumstances. So I love to come to you with strategies, tips, ideas, and most importantly, encouragement, whatever disruption you're facing. Today, I have the pleasure of having my friend Galen with me. Hey, Galen, welcome to the stage.
Hey, I am so excited to have this conversation. Every time you and I connect, something magical comes of that conversation. So I can't wait to learn from what we talk about today.
Me too. So, Galen, tell our guests, we were both just chatting for a little bit, saying inside of everything, even the hard, there's usually a gift if we're willing to look for it, right? But Galen, tell my listeners, my audience, who are you? What do you do? Where do you live?
Yeah. So I lived right out. I live right outside of St. Louis in Town and Country, Missouri, and I am a recovered corporate executive. I spent 30 years in corporate America, trying to become senior vice president of sales for a Fortune 500 company. That meant 5 years at Kraft Foods, 2 years at the Imperial Sugar Company, and 22 years with Coca-Cola North America, doing all the jobs, doing all the things, tracking all the numbers. And in my last role at Coca-Cola North America, they went through a bit of a restructure. And I just come off my best year as an area director. They went through a restructure, and they said, "Galen, thank you for playing. There's no place for you in the organization right now." But we do recognize that you've got this passion for and this ability to develop people. So we want to create this brand new role, give you the ability to develop people in the central third of the United States for Coca-Cola North America. You do this for 18 months, you come back out, the restructure is settled, you're back on that path. And the central third of the United States turned into the entire United States. That turned into projects overseas, and the company loaning me out to their clients to do leadership development. And I stayed in that 18-month assignment for 8.5 years, and was, for whatever reason, no longer interested in becoming senior vice president of sales. Today, I coach executives all over the world, 7 different countries, 64 different companies. This is my fun spot. This is what God created me to do.
So good when we're working out of our gifts, when it's like, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is how I get to serve best. And came out of a gift, came out of something like, well, never mind, we don't need you anymore. Wait a minute. So I love it. I love that part of the story. Thank you for sharing that. And you seem a little too young to have all these different years of things in there. So I'm not going to do the math there.
I got good genes. I got good genes.
Nice. My mother passed at 96 just a year ago this month, and my mother-in-law is 96. My father-in-law passed at 96, and I'm like, people think 70's old. I'm like, 70's just the beginning. That's
right.
It started, right?
That's right.
Yes. So we're talking about change and disruption, and especially at this time of year, I think it's so important to be sensitive to what people are going through. And so you kind of already shared a little bit of that change, a change in your life. But is there a professional time that you face disruption that hit you harder than maybe that?
Yeah, well, I can't think of anything that hit me harder than that. Only because I had a plan, I had a vision. I not only had a vision of where I wanted to be, I had a vision as to how I thought I was going to get there. And so when you think about the word disruption, I love words. I know you love words as well. But disruption suggests that you have a plan and somehow that plan is taken off course.
Yeah.
And so could it be that for where I am supposed to be, that plan that I have was not the most effective way, right? And so my plan was disrupted, but the ultimate plan was not. The ultimate plan actually was accelerated because I was forced to make a decision that I would not have made on my own. There is no way you would have convinced me to leave the Coca-Cola company.
Yeah.
There's no way you would have convinced me to leave the salary that I was making. Did I tell you I was getting stock options and all these perks for working for a global brand? There's no way you could have convinced me to do that. But I believe that there was a larger destiny placed on my life, and I had to leave those things in order to step into it. There are all these videos online that talk about how it's impossible to grab something new if you don't let go of what you currently have. It's impossible to fill a pitcher with water if you're not pouring the water out. I believe that the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, has this equal balance where it requires that you have to give up something in order to get something greater. And most of the time, we're not willing to do that on our own. And
Yeah.
so the universe steps in and creates these situations that require that you give up something less in order to have capacity for something greater.
Yeah. I am a woman of faith. And as you speak, Jeremiah 29 is just in my head like loud. And what I've heard it a million times, I've said it a million times, but what's standing out to me today is that my plans for you, not your plans for you. And I'm like, well, I got this thing planned out, and here's how, and not only this is what I want, this is how I'm going to get there. And this is that's so beautiful, Galen. Like for me, I'm like, oh, when we get that shift in our career, when we get that shift in our relationships, that we're like, no, that's not nope, I got a plan. And God goes, wait a minute. What if I can get you to a better, I mean, look where you are today because of that detour. And sometimes we're so resistant to that change. And sometimes there's something so much better
Yes,
on the other
absolutely.
side.
What I say to my clients quite often is we need to marry the objective but date the strategy. Marry the objective but date the strategy. So my objective, and this is what I have said for years, is that I wanted to have impact on people. I wanted to help people achieve their highest level of expression.
Yeah.
And that's the objective. Now, my strategy was doing that as the senior vice president of sales for a Fortune 500 company, because I saw Rich Wazalowski, and he was the senior vice president of sales for Kraft Foods, and boy, he had influence. He could make things happen. Everyone respected him. That's what I want to do. That's how I want to help people step into their highest level of expression. Okay, that is a plan.
That's a plan.
But oh my gosh, what I'm doing now has so much greater impact. There's no way you and I would it's possible you and I would be talking, but probably not in the same way had I realized that particular strategy. So marry the objective, but date the strategy. There could be all kinds of there could be tons of better strategies for achieving that goal. And I am not arrogant enough to think that I know better than God as to the best way to get there.
Got it. Two thoughts. One, I forgot to say to our listeners, if you have questions or comments for Galen or I anytime through, you can ask them live right now. Otherwise, we will respond later. I've been traveling and I have a tickle in the back of my throat will not go away. But when you said marry the objective, and I think I heard it wrong, but now you're saying marry the commitment to what you want to do, but not to how you get there. Because I was thinking of the objective of me saying, Galen, you're out of here. Galen, we're making a change. That objective, but you're not saying marry that. Because I'm like, how do you marry the rejection and objective? I don't want to marry that. I want to be dating. You're saying marry your goal. The end result was you wanted to make an impact. You thought vice president of sales was the way to do it. God had a better plan.
Exactly. My objective is I think many people want to live a life of purpose. And I literally want to have a life of purpose where I'm impacting people's ability to step into the highest version of themselves. Right. And currently I do that through my podcast. I do that through my books. I do that through speaking, through coaching. But there are so many different ways of doing that. Becoming senior vice president of sales is just one way of doing it. I could have done that. But I think the path that I'm on now has greater impact than what I was imagining, because I didn't know I didn't know coaching was a thing. It probably wasn't a thing back then, right? I didn't know that it was possible for me to write books. No one in my family has ever written a book. I didn't know that those things were even possible. What I saw was Rich Wazalowski standing on stage, everyone listening to him, everyone is motivated and inspired by him. They're out there doing their thing because he said something that inspired them. And so I wanted to do that. I thought that was my strategy. I had to release that as the strategy and just stay married to the goal of I'm trying to impact people. I'm trying to help people step into their most highest expression of themselves, and then just leave it open for God to do what he does.
Yeah.
Because I mean, he's got a few more years at this thing than I do.
Better plans and better plans, maybe not the path we have, but better plans. So let's talk about that then in that season, which you've already kind of shared a little, but unfortunately we know both of us probably right now, people that are losing their jobs, people that are
Yeah.
being redirected and feeling like, are you kidding me? I've dedicated the time. This wasn't my plan, all the things, right? And so was there something systematic? Because you said, follow those systems, date the systems. Was there a system that you worked on mentally or physically to stay hopeful in the face of this change that was not in your plan, was not on your agenda?
Yeah. I did not have a system, but I have since created a system
Okay.
because I've reflected on those moments. I've reflected on kind of the journey that I've eventually found, as opposed to what I thought I was going to be on. And we've talked about scripture just a little bit. I pin everything on the scripture that says all things work for the good of those who love God and who are called according to his will. Those
Yes.
aren't my words. I didn't write that. But hey, I'm signing off on it.
That's
That
right.
means everything.
Yes.
That's not only the things that I like. It's supposed to be everything. So when this life is over and I get to the pearly gates and something didn't work for my good, I get to say, hey, look, this was the contract. You
It was
said
in
it. What's going on here? And so because of that, I expect that everything is going to work to my good. Everything. And so it's my job to figure out where that thing is coming. I think you and I are of the generation where you may be able to remember the television detective Columbo.
Columbo, yes.
Columbo, of all the television detectives, Columbo was my favorite. And
Okay.
the reason Columbo was my favorite was because I knew that by the end of this episode, 30 minutes or whatever the case is, I knew Columbo was going to get the bad guy. Right. I knew that. So the task wasn't for me to figure out if he was going to get the bad guy. My challenge was, what's the thing that's going to allow him to get the bad guy? I was trying to see if I could find that thing. And so that's the way I'm trying to experience life. I know that everything's going to work to my good. How in the world is he going to get good out of this? How is he going to work good out of my getting let go from one of the most iconic brands in the world? How in the world?
Yeah.
It's like my bank account is looking incredibly good. My 401k is amazing. Now I'm going to leave all that. That's gone. How in the world is he going to make good out of this? I got to figure that out. And so that's what I really started tying into when I was going through it. From there, I developed what I call the leadership platform, where I challenge my clients to answer 5 questions that become the anchor of how we operate as in a coaching engagement, and how they operate as they're navigating whatever it is they're navigating. And those 5 questions are incredibly, incredibly simple, but they're by no means easy. None of the questions have more than 5 words in them.
Okay.
The first question is, who are you? And by who are you, I mean, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are your triggers? What are the things that get you excited? Daniel Goleman, considered to be the father of emotional intelligence, he says that the 4 steps of emotional intelligence starts with self-awareness. And so that's what this is.
Yeah.
If you're a company, this would be your brand identity statement.
Yeah.
I worked for many years for Coca-Cola. I've got colleagues who worked many years for Pepsi. Do kind of the same things, but the brand identity is totally different between Coke and Pepsi. So what's your brand identity? Who are you? The second question is, why are you here? Yes, why are you at this company, but why are you on this planet?
Yeah.
What is that thing that you are here to do, and that if you don't do the way that only you can do it, it might leave a hole in the universe?
Yeah.
And God might weep. not because he's not going to accomplish a thing, but oh my gosh, I really wish Annie was the one to do it because I know what I put in Annie. And boy, this is really what, but since Annie's not going to do it, I'll ask Galen,
Yeah.
Galen can do some of it, but boy, Annie's the one. So what is that thing? Why are you here? Number three, and if you were a company, this would be your mission statement. The number three is, where are you going? What's your vision? What are the values that you are just hell bent on magnifying and amplifying in the world? For me, it's about the power of people to live at their highest level of expression. But what's your thing? What's your vision? If you're a company, this would be your vision statement. Number four is about who's going with you. How can you identify those people who are on the same path that you're on?
Yeah.
They might be ahead of you, and therefore someone you might want to enroll as a mentor. They might be behind you, therefore someone who might benefit from your mentorship. They might be alongside of you. They're struggling with the exact same questions. They scratch their head at the exact same time you scratch your head, because they don't have any more information, but you can tell that they're on the same path that you're on. And so they might be great accountability partners because you're going through life at the same way. Right. So who's going with you? And then the last question is, and my clients tell me that this is probably the most challenging question. And that is, how can anyone tell your answers to the first four questions from just watching you? So if you were a company, this would be your impact statement. Right. Because companies say that they're going to do all kinds of things, but what's the impact report that really demonstrates this is what they've done? And your behavior needs to model and line up with your answers to the first four questions. And so for me, that's what keeps me anchored on what's the objective of my life. There are lots of different strategies for getting there, but what's the objective of my being here? And that's what keeps me grounded. That's what keeps my clients grounded all over the world, regardless of their level in major corporations.
Those are 5 questions. And also part of what we are doing here is what we have learned through our own adversity, challenges, changes. I always think like a visual for my work is always an arm back. Like, who am I reaching back and helping get to here? Because maybe you didn't know that at the moment, but now you have a system and you have these 5 questions and you ask yourself them and you ask your clients. Do you, with yourself or with your clients, review those questions once a year? Is it just in the entry, or is it like every year I sit down? Like, I love New Year's Eve. My favorite, because I'm boring, is like, I love looking back and like evaluating, what did I accomplish? What didn't I? Does it still matter? And what am I looking forward to making an impact in a positive way next year? How many different lives, different ways. So is that something ongoing for you, or is it kind of a one-time thing during the disruption?
Yes. And
okay.
So yeah, we do the annual thing. What are your goals? How does this align to who you're trying to be? What do you want to accomplish? That kind of thing. But actually, every time we make a decision, I pivot them back to their leadership platform. I pivot them back to, this is who you said you're trying to be. Does this decision align with that? Because, there's a couple of different reasons why you might want to change your platform. Number one, you might develop a better vocabulary, right? You can come up with better language to express these things that you have inside of you. I earlier this year, I celebrated 30 years of marriage with the same lady. And if someone would have asked me, Galen, how do you know that she's the one? Well, I know. It's just hard for me to explain it, right? My vocabulary isn't sophisticated enough to really be able to explain what I know. And so our vocabulary improves, and we can better articulate the answers to those 5 questions. So that might cause you to want to change those answers. Number 2, what we want might change, right? Had I done this 15 years ago, my platform would have said, I am absolutely trying to become senior vice president of sales. That's what everything would have pointed to, because that's what I wanted. Today, my platform speaks to, I am really trying to inspire and empower senior vice presidents of sales all over the world, right?
Yeah,
And so my desire has changed. So there's nothing wrong with changing your platform, but your platform and your life, they need to be in concert with one
for
another
sure. Yeah,
because that's what guides these decisions that you make. What's the purpose of taking a new position, making $900,000 a year, if that position is going to require you to do things that are inconsistent with who you're trying to be?
that's right.
That could be a definition of hell.
Yeah. I was just talking to a client actually who was debating quitting a job and got another company was recruiting him out. And it was more money, but in the long run, it might be less money, but he was just going back. But the position he was in did not fulfill him at all. And then the position he was getting was exactly what he wanted. And he'd have to use his mind and do these things. And the people he worked with, like, and I'm like, you have to know that it's so much more than money. Money can be great, but if it does not align with you, and if you go home every day and you're miserable like that, there's just, you're paying too high a price for however much money you're making. So,
Absolutely, absolutely. We are here, and again, I keep saying that my goal in life is to help people reach the fullest expression of who they were intended to be.
yeah,
Now, I can't tell you what that is. I can't tell you what the fullest expression of Annie is. I,
yeah,
I barely got my own life figured out, right?
that's right.
But my desire is if I can help you take one more step towards that, whoever that person is,
Yeah.
I feel like that's why God created me.
I love that. Galen, I think what I would love for to hear you speak to is when disruption happens and it is not aligned with our plan and our control of holding that steering wheel and we get knocked, it can throw us off balance. And I used to own gyms. So one thing really important to me, and for a lot of reasons, is health, but not just physical health. It's mental, it's emotional, it's financial, it's spiritual. And what I watch and relational, I watch people when life doesn't go the way they have planned and the way they think, they often tend to be self-destructive,
Yeah.
whether that's overspending or overeating or just isolating, ending relationships, whatever. So what are some strategies or tips that you use, either use then or that you use today or that you teach other people? How do you help people stay healthy when something comes at them that they're not expecting?
Yeah, yeah. I keep thinking about I think over my shoulder, one of my shoulders, I have a photo of Kobe Bryant.
Mm,
And I had become a fan of Kobe Bryant after he retired.
okay.
Wasn't so much a fan of his while he was playing, but after he retired, because I got to see a lot of the work, a lot of the mentality that went into becoming Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
And one of the things that he says is that first of all, you got to get over yourself and realize that this isn't about you,
Yes.
right? I
Truth
mean,
for all of us, right? Yeah.
yeah, it affects you, you're involved, but it really isn't about you,
That's
right? So you're upset, so your plan didn't work out, so your relationship ended sooner than you thought it was going to. Get over yourself. It's not about you. The only Because if you're successful, great. Well, you got to do it again tomorrow,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
And if you tried to do something that didn't work out, that sucks, but you still got to do it again tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so the first thing I try to do is help my clients remember that this isn't really about them. This is about something bigger.
Mhm.
They're here on this planet to do something bigger.
Yeah.
And your plan might not be the best way. You might not have come across the best way to accomplish this thing. But let's get focused on what could be, and I heard you say this as well. What could be the gift out of this experience?
Yeah.
What could be the thing out of this experience that's going to allow you to step closer to what you were really here to do? It sucked leaving Coca-Cola. It sucked getting laid off. It sucked not realizing my expressed dream of becoming senior vice president of sales. But the gift in that is I've learned so much from those bad experiences. When my clients come to me because they've been laid off after performing, literally the day the year that I got pulled out of the area director role, I had become inducted into the President's Club. The company said that I was the best in the company for that position. And I was number one in the country for units sold, number two in the country for profit generating. 3 months later, there's this restructure. Galen, there's no place for you in this organization, right? So how do you make sense of that? There's
Right.
got to be some benefit there. And the benefit that I've latched onto is I can identify when my clients come to me with that exact same story. I get it. I
Yeah.
get it. And it has nothing to do with your value, your worth, and your ability. It has to do with decisions that they've made that are so far above your pay grade that you can't even understand. Right. And
Yeah.
so how do we stay focused on this idea that it's not about you,
Mm,
right? And that the plan for your life is something bigger than even the Coca-Cola company could contain.
yeah.
The work that I'm doing now, the Coca-Cola company could not contain.
Yeah. For sure. And now you get to do it on a larger impact, and people get to pick you and you get to pick them. And it's not inside one thing. But I do think, Galen, it is more challenging. I was talking to another client and they were telling me one of their coworkers got let go. Well, this coworker had been playing on YouTube for 6 months and not done any work at all. And so it kind of makes sense. They're like, it was kind of weird because people didn't see it coming, but it was kind of like, you don't do anything here. So, yes. But when you, because another one who has been getting these accolades, not just by management, but by the CEO, by the recognition of you're doing exceptional, you're stepping out, we see you as this, we want you here, you're doing all this stuff, gets let go. I think it's even harder for us to wrap our minds around. So it is such a great reminder is that things are happening. It's not about you. Feels like it's about you for sure, especially when it first happens. But there's something so much bigger, and I believe there's something so much bigger at the company happening that you don't know about, but there's also such a better plan for your life if you're willing to see it as a gift.
Yes.
Gather up your basket, maybe not in the first 5 minutes, but gather up your basket and go back out there with new gifts and new tools and new wisdom that you can share in your next opportunity.
Absolutely. I've been evaluating my prayer life
Mhm.
recently and just really reflecting on how arrogant it is for me to tell God what I need to have in my life.
Mm,
It's pretty arrogant when you think about it, right? And I want this, and I want to
yeah,
go here, and
that's
please make this happen, and please
right.
make that happen. And so, scripture says that we are supposed to, ask for what we want. But at the end of my prayers, I always try to end with, God, please show me how good this thing can be. Show me how much more do you have in store for me that I can't even imagine right now, right? Because I don't know how good this thing can be. I,
Mhm.
I don't, I don't, n- I have an idea of what would make my life wonderful, but I don't really know.
Yeah,
And none of us do.
yeah,
I have no idea why I didn't become senior vice president of sales for the Coca-Cola company. Have no idea. But I submit, again, based on scripture, that's supposed to work for my good.
that's right.
Again, I didn't write those words.
Yeah.
I signed off on it, but I didn't write those words. And so even that is supposed to be for my good. I'm curious as to how Columbo's gonna make that work.
Yeah. My husband loves Rockford Files. I didn't ever watch those shows. I mean, I've heard of Columbus and I feel like I could recognize him maybe in a lineup, but I'm not positive. I know Kojak had a bald head and ate Tootsie Pops and bad.
Yes.
I don't know these. I was watching Tony Don's on Who's the Boss. But what did you just make me think of? And I was going to say, oh, yes, I like the word. I mean, I find the word intriguing, arrogant to assume. And I always think about because I really try to have a really disciplined prayer life, not perfect, but disciplined every morning. It's very important to me to start my day like that. But I walk on the beach and I always have a list for the Lord, like you could fix this and you can fix, and then I know this person with the problem. And then you got, and one morning something stopped me and just your word arrogant. And maybe that, I don't know that I identified with that word, but something stopped me. And I thought, why do I always come here with, here's how I'm doing and here's what I need? Why don't I take a pause and a breath and say, how are you doing? What do you need from me? And
Mm,
and it was just this. I live across the street from the beach. I'm walking it every morning. It is the loudest place that God talks to me. Like I just like hear his voice, feel his presence. And he was like, Annie, I'm fine. I'm like, how can you be fine? Do you know what's happening in the world? And this, and then he was like, I know what's happening. I know what's going to happen. I know how it's going to, I know the whole story. Right. And then I was just like, what do you need from me? Like, I'm so busy telling you what I need from me. And I felt like it is that reminder, be my hands and feet, make the biggest impact you can make. serve as many people as you can serve. And some will bless you so more abundantly than you imagine with money. And some will need from you and not have it. And yet I still call you to give because you've been on a path and you're meant to look back with our wisdom that we have now, Galen, that we didn't have in some of our moments, to serve those who are stuck and can't see all the gifts that we get to see. So I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Just,
I'll tell you how I have answered that question for myself. And again, I'm not telling you how to answer it for yourself because again, I barely got my own life figured out. But I believe God needs me to be the highest expression of who He created.
yeah,
I think He needs me to step into all the things that He's put into my life, all the experiences. I think He needs me to play bigger. I think He needs me to acknowledge that regardless of what I might be afraid of, He's bigger than that. And He needs me to show other folks what it looks like for someone to step into that,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I like,
Because I think we all, whether you're a person of faith, whether you're not, whether you've got a different faith, whether you have no faith, which I don't think is a thing, but if you claim you have no faith, I think we all have a sense that there's something out there that's in control of all this.
yeah,
And because we don't understand what that control would look like, we don't know how we would control all this, and we don't see evidence, we have a tendency to say that it doesn't exist. I believe that's a bunch of malarkey. And I think in our heart of hearts, we all believe that there's something out there
yeah,
that created all of us. And I believe God needs me to step into the fullness of who He created me to be.
yeah. I agree. I agree 100%. All right. I know our time's flying away here, Galen. I want to know about, I also think when we go through disruptions, it doesn't just affect us, right? Like it affects, you've been married 30 years, you
Yeah.
have an adult daughter, and like it affects the people we love as well. How did you find humor and happiness when your plan got disrupted? How did you stay there and not bring bitterness into your home or anger or resentment?
Yeah, I'm gonna sound like a broken record, and you're gonna walk away thinking, "Can't be that simple, Galen. Clearly, it can't be that simple." But again, I just remind it's not about me.
Mm.
It's not about me. How can I model to other people
Did you
this?
feel that instantaneously, or is that your wisdom
No.
now?
That's my wisdom now. That's what I had to work through. And again, I'm on YouTube all the time looking for things that inspire me.
Okay.
And things like Kobe Bryant, things like reading about Reginald F. Lewis, the first person to wage a public buyout of Beatrice Foods. I read a lot of documentaries and biographies just about how people have persevered, and just this understanding that it's not about me,
Got it.
and there's got to be a way. And I'm in the process of writing my next book, and I just included this book that my editor is going to absolutely hate, but I'm going to fight for it. I believe everything is figure outable.
Mm,
I think everything is figure outable,
mm,
and it might not be figure outable right now, but if I work long enough, if I dig at it long enough, everything is figure outable.
right.
And I think that regardless of the situation that I might find myself in, it's figure outable.
Yeah.
And it's not about me. There's a grander purpose for me going through this situation. I
And
got
I
to stay
think you had
focused
to
on.
get to that, Galen. And so that's what I want our listeners to know is Galen did not get up and go, well, I lost my job and now it's not about me and everything's happy. I am not believing that. I'm not buying that. And I'm not teaching that. I want you to know that he dug
Yeah.
into YouTube, that he dug into books, that he said, holy cow, this is not what I had planned. What do I do now? And had to discover in the dig of all the people that persevered, all the overcomers,
Yeah.
all the adversity, all the videos, all the books. Oh, it wasn't about them. Oh, it didn't matter that they hit a wall and hit a wall again and again. I mean, there's so many extraordinary stories of individuals that were told no a million times, and people look at them and go, well, must
Of
be nice
course,
for them.
of
So
course you, right? Of
well,
course, Annie,
yes,
right?
yes. I remember at NSA once early on, I met a woman there. I don't know why it still cracks me up in my head, but I met her and she goes, I've been watching you online. And I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know her, whatever. And she goes, you must have just had the perfect life, huh? And I was like, how much you've been watching, because no, not even a good life necessarily, but now extraordinary, still hard, extraordinary.
Yeah.
So I think people know. I want them to know that you dug. I want them to know, Galen, that you seem happy and grounded and beautifully wise, and yet it still hurt your heart. It still hurt your mind. It's you came against a wall, because I know a lot of my listeners are in the face of disruption. I want to tell them. I like also, Galen, you're saying it's figure outable. What he's actually saying is don't quit. Don't quit
Yes.
if you're still in the sadness. Don't sit in the pit. Don't just sit there and curl up in a ball. Get a book, watch a video, do the
It
things, right?
it only becomes failure when you stop,
That's right.
right? When you stop after things not working out and you stop, well, then you failed,
That's right.
right? But as long as you're coming at it again and again and again, then there's no failure because there's no end. I just got back from a dream vacation in South Africa.
Oh,
And we went on the safaris, we did all the things, and we saw these animals. And I decided that my favorite animal of all, the one that I identify with, is the honey badger. I don't know if you're familiar with the honey badger. Honey badger looks like a little cuddly little animal, but the honey badger, if attacked, will do whatever is necessary to end whatever is attacking them. And there are images of of a honey badger being attacked by a lion, and that honey badger starts biting the lion's tongue to make the lion let go. And the honey badger is not, I don't know what's required. And the reason I identify with that is because if we get into a fight for whatever reason, you attack me, I am not arrogant enough to say that I'm going to win the fight. I am arrogant enough to say you're going to have to explain something back to your boys back at home, because I'm going to leave a mark. You're going to walk away with a limp. I'm taking something with me. And that's the same approach that I take with life, right? Bad things happen. That's just the way life is. But that bad thing is going to take something with it.
Mm.
That bad thing is going to have to explain something back to its buddies back home, because Galen was here and he left a mark. And so I think as long as we have this belief that it's not about us and there has to be something good coming out of this, our job is to try to figure out where that good is. That kind of carries us through. It's not failure until you quit.
That's right.
Once you quit, then you get to decide, was that a failure or was that a success? Steve Jobs said that everything connects when you're looking backwards. That means everything when you
Yeah.
look backward. Well, we're
Yeah.
not at that point yet. We're not at the end yet. So we can't really look backward. It's kind of unfair for us to look at our current situation and say, well, how is this going to work out? But
Yeah.
when we get to the end, we're going to look back and we're going to say, one of the best things that could have happened to me was for me to leave Coca-Cola.
Mm.
I would not have had the courage to do it on my own. That was
Yeah.
one of the best things that happened to me.
Yeah. I like that a lot. I always think don't quit, like just keep going. And right now I'm torn, because our message at church was about take time for rest. And I'm like, I'm all about rest. But I meet people that November 15th quit. And then they're like, I got nothing for 2026. And I'm like, well, don't quit. And even if you want to slow down for the holidays, I'm all about that. But work 3 days a week. Do something to keep moving forward, because especially if we're the owner, like it doesn't keep running if we're not doing something. So you made me think of that. But I wanted you, Galen, kind of as we wind down, I imagine people, let's say 20 to 50. How about that? That's a big range.
Okay.
They're losing something right now, Galen.
Yeah.
Somebody just told them they want a divorce. Somebody just told them they're getting fired. Somebody just told them, and they're not happy about it, Galen. They're not looking back yet. They're in it. And they are feeling overwhelmed. They're feeling sad. They're feeling hopeless. They're thinking, oh my gosh, the holidays are coming up. Now I'm not going to have money. I'm not going to have a partner. I'm not going to have what I planned, what I hoped. What would you speak into them, Galen?
Yeah. Two things. Number one, and again, I'm not going to go back to what I just said, but I would definitely say, don't quit. There has to be something positive out of this. Don't know what it is yet, but there has to be something positive out of this. Another thing that I would say is, people don't get what they deserve. They get more of who they are. So this experience is about energy, about your energy. So how can you resist the temptation to be pulled into this energy of scarcity?
Mm,
Which, if you say, hey, look, I don't have money, I can't buy presents, I can't pay bills, I don't have the relationship, that is an energy of scarcity. And you're going to get more of that. You're going to
yeah.
get more evidence that what you think is right, right? Our brain basically wants to be right. And so if you're in this space of negativity, you're going to get more evidence that your negativity is justified. And so the human brain can't hold two thoughts at once. Can't hold two thoughts at once. So if you've got a negative thought, you can replace that with a positive thought. It takes work, but you
Yes.
can do it. But
Yeah.
you want to create positive energy. You want to either support someone, you want to think about, you want to imagine what might be the good that's coming out of this. You want to remember other times where you've succeeded, because you want to attract more of that energy. And so those are some practical and tangible things that I encourage my clients to do.
I love that, Galen. I always think like whenever I'm feeling down myself or I see some, I think let's go serve another person. There's always someone that has it worse. And you start serving someone else, you forget all about your own challenge and they've got nothing and you get to be that part of the blessing, part of the joy in their life. So I love that. Well, Galen, I know two things. One, I'm going to ask you after we get done that you put those 5 questions in the comments because I know our listeners are going to love them. They're great thought-provoking things, especially when we're going through something and we lose sight of who we are and why we're here. But what is the best way for my audiences to connect with you? Where can
Yes.
they find you? How can they get to know you?
Oh my gosh, so many different ways. I almost feel like Batman, Batman at times. If you type Galen Bingham on any social media site, you're gonna find me. But you can go to my website, killglobalcoaching.com, KILN globalcoaching.com. There's a downloads tab, and in the downloads tab, there's actually a place where you got those 5 questions. I'll put them in the chat as well, but you've got them there. But the most fun way, the most educational way, and I believe the most profitable way to get a hold of me is to check out the podcast, Whiskey, Jazz, and Leadership, where yours truly is going to be a guest. But Whiskey, Jazz, and Leadership, we talk to leaders all over the world about the whiskeys they drink, the music they listen to, and what they think it really takes to be an effective leader. Double dog dare you to try us at least once. Guarantee that you're going to get at least one step closer to becoming the self that you were supposed to be.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you to our listeners. Please remember to ask questions, say hi. We love to hear from you. We have one comment here from Devin or DeVito, Deborah, something. So she's saying hi. So hello to her. Thank you. Merry Christmas to you and your family. Congratulations on 30 years and a trip to Africa. Sounds amazing. So thank you for being with me. Appreciate you.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.